remember the day like it had just passed. 5th grade. And the Scholastic Book Fair had just come past, and we were just getting our orders. For some reason, the teachers in my elementary school thought it'd be a genius idea to go ahead and leave our orders on our upside-down chairs in our homeroom class. Sitting there was something that would, to my amazement, change my life and my taste in gaming. Rollercoaster Tycoon. One of the very first games I had ever touched on the PC itself. This began a bit of a spiral of addiction / interest in the tycoon games genre as a whole for me. So anytime I would see one, there was a pretty good chance I would give it a try. Parkitect comes among this, originally a Kickstarter game, one of the very few that I actually backed myself. Comes as a spiritual successor to Rollercoaster Tycoon. Actually holds a lot more continuity and credibility towards Rollercoaster Tycoon, really, than some of Rollercoaster Tycoon's own sequels. Parkitect has a relatively warm and inviting atmosphere, lots of bright colors and decent quality textures to make it for an overall attractive game. It's pretty obvious that some of the models could have been a bit more detailed, but it seems like the developer Texel Raptor is more than likely a relatively small team. So this is probably a creation of a labor of love more than anything. And that being said, the game looks relatively good anyways. It is really good looking, and the graphics kind of add a little bit of character. Their overall art design goes a long way to create a warm and inviting atmosphere, and it does so very well. The included day-night cycle is a really good transition. The engine doesn't stutter or slow down at all. The lighting at night is relatively well handled, with lots of shadow mapping work that's pretty quality, and the lights at night actually cast a bit of a warm tone that's pretty nice to look at. This also happens during thunderstorms, and funnily enough, rides won't let people on at all during a thunderstorm. Sound design is actually kind of, however, a bit hit or miss. There's a lot of sound effects that are really all playing at the same time, and every now and then a low quality or out of place sound effect will play. I really only encountered that issue whenever I was playing at the fastest speed setting. However, if you're like me and you basically just slap down anything that looks good because you're not very creative, then you'll definitely have a lot of multi-layered soundtracks from rides just on top of each other. This overall kind of creates a mess of jumbled sound. Nicely enough, you can use custom soundtracks for the rides themselves, but the included soundtrack on the game is actually really good though. The main menu music is very warm and inviting, and the in-game idle music is fantastic. However, it only plays when you zoom the game very far out, almost completely. I'm not sure why they would do this, as the sound effects of the part previously mentioned are really not great, and the fade out should occur much sooner with the fade in of the soundtrack. This would have made an overall just better experience. If you're familiar with Rollercoaster Tycoon, its sequels, or any of its inspired competitors, then you will fully understand how Parkitect works. Gameplay is almost identical to Rollercoaster Tycoon. However, this is a good thing, seeing as they both play great. However, I will say, it does leave a lot of innovation on the table. If you're unfamiliar with how Rollercoaster Tycoon or any of the games play, you build a park with roller coasters, and it's a tycoon game. The roller coaster builder in Parkitect is almost a carbon copy of Rollercoaster Tycoon's, but Parkitect has pages upon pages of different rides to choose from. This adds a fair bit of content and does differentiate it a little bit from Rollercoaster Tycoon. There's also a ton of scenery to choose from, basically letting you fit any theme you could ever imagine. This, both mixed with the Steam Workshop support, means that even people like me with no creativity can Still have nice looking rides with nice scenery instead of, hey, there's an empty space there around the roller coaster. Tree. Some people on the workshop have really well made designs, almost professional level. One nice thing about building anything in general, paths or rides that go underground, the tunnels will automatically build for you for both. This is much better than previous Roller Coaster Tycoon system where you basically had to clear the road yourself, and it was really annoying. There are several different types of staff in Parkitect. Janitors will clear the paths, get rid of trash or people that can't contain their bodily fluids. Mechanics, like the meme, will fix and maintain rides. Security guards stop the youths from breaking me trash cans. Entertainers will walk up to a guest and, scare them. And finally, haulers. Haulers are new to this genre as far as I know, and basically they're there to carry supplies to every shop. Once a shop is placed, it has to be resupplied relatively regularly by a hauler by delivering the box to the back or the front of the shop. Guests don't like to see these people. They also seem kind of bad at keeping the supply chain flowing, as the task is only assigned when either the stock is empty or really low. Overall, the haulers kind of seem kind of shoehorned in, basically just for the sake of doing something slightly different. Random events will happen too, like for example, shortages or surpluses of material for shops changing their pricing, or a blogger will positively or negatively mention your park, and this will affect attendance because influencers. Overall, this kind of seems phoned home. There's basically no reason to add it, but it doesn't affect the game that much, so it's kind of whatever. Oh, by the way, the fast forward function is amazing. Why don't all these games have this? I don't have 4 hours to just sit here and wait for time to pass. Multiplayer is a thing. Never really got around to trying it because I don't know anybody else who owns the game, and pretty much every multiplayer lobby was locked. I'm presuming that that's pretty much everybody just playing with their friends or people they know. Now, in parting, the question you have to ask is a hot dog a sandwich? Seriously though, Parkitect really does rely on its inspiration quite a bit. Does it help it or does it hurt it? The gameplay is great, plays fine. It looks good. I think it's a relatively pretty game, and the soundtrack is great, so if you zoom all the way out, it doesn't have that terrible audio mixing, and it sounds great. But it really does hold on tight to Rollercoaster Tycoon, and it really doesn't let go. Parkitect really did not try in many ways to differentiate itself from its predetermined path. But does that make Parkitect a bad game? I don't think so. I mean, I personally enjoyed it a lot, and it's a good example of how not all Kickstarters are bad. The campaign's relatively fun. There's a lot of game in the campaign, and it's well worth the price.